Where angels fear to tread. One of the first things I made when I started my YouTube channel was an instructional video about the circle of fifths. But I was unpleased with my attempt, so I removed it, and now I am trying to fill the gap. First of all, the so-called circle of fifths is actually about both fifths and fourths. C to G is a fifth if we go up, and if we go down, C to G is a fourth. When we alternate, we make it a zigzag. The zigzag concept is very important for understanding what musicians mean when they talk about the circle of fifths. The traditional explanation of the circle of fifths is actually a zigzag of fifths and fourths. Let's consider what happens if we move up fifths starting with the lowest C on the piano. This would take up the whole piano keyboard and is rather uncomfortable even to try to play. In order to be practical, when we show the circle of fifths, we have to zigzag back and forth between fifths and fourths. The standard explanation of the circle of fifths always starts with C, then G, then D. What is strange about this idea is that generally music always moves in the opposite direction. When we do this, it starts with C, then F, then B flat. It is really the same thing but in reverse. Finally, this is what the same idea looks like, starting with B flat. Many musicians call this a circle of fourths. This gives us the whole sequence starting with 5 black notes and finishing up with 7 white notes. It's a great way to memorize the sequence. Standard charts of the circle of fifths usually go up in a less natural way when you read them clockwise. They are so packed with so much extra information that you can't get at the essential pattern. So if you have to read a chart, it is always better to present it so that the more natural way is to move clockwise. Here is the circle of fourths as I teach it. It simply shows the traditional idea, but it reverses it so that the normal counterclockwise motion is now clockwise. Let's look at the same circle of fourths, but this time starting with B flat so that we can get the black notes out of the way first and finish up with the white notes. Now let's use the same plan for playing major chords. And a perfect way to do this is through practicing the major chords with black roots first. There are 5 of them. The idea is to go up and then back down in a zigzag pattern. Nail down these 5 major chords with black roots in this order until you can play them in your sleep. Practicing chords in the circle of fifths is more efficient when you start off with the black roots first. As soon as you finish playing the 5 major chords with black roots, then play the 7 major chords with white roots. And of course that means that there are a total of 12 major chords. Then you are done. You want to do this at least twice every day. It will only take you about 30 seconds. It's incredibly easy and fast. Now comes the rabbit hole. It turns out you can use a circle of fourths for any kind of chord. You can play all minor chords. You can mix up major and minor chords. You can play all dominant 7th chords. The more out of the box you are and the more creative and innovative you are with the circle of fourths, the better you will understand the principle and the better it will work for you in your own music. Once you understand this principle, you will find it immediately in music going back several centuries, but you will also find it in the latest compositions in jazz, pop, film music, and video games. It is a universal principle, and it is probably one of the most important things you will ever learn in your life about music. You will end up using it in a million different ways. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave me comments about anything you like, comments about anything you'd like to see in the future, and remember that I consider all suggestions.